The message arrived at Earth's diplomatic office at exactly midnight GMT. The holographic seal of the Galactic Council pulsed with an urgent red glow, marking this communication as a priority dispatch. James Miller watched it materialize above his desk, his weathered face illuminated by its soft light. "Play message," he commanded, straightening his uniform jacket. The aging diplomat had seen many such messages in his 30-year career, but something about this one made his neck hair stand on end. The projection expanded, revealing the stern face of a council elder. The alien's gray skin and large, dark eyes were typical of their species, but the expression they wore was anything but routine. "Earth Diplomatic Corps," the elder spoke, each word measured carefully. "The Galactic Council requires immediate representation from your species. This is not a request. You will present yourself at the Council Station within 3 standard cycles." Miller leaned back in his chair, his mind already racing through the implications. In 30 years since Earth had joined the galactic community, the Council had never issued such a direct command. They always wrapped their requests in layers of politeness and protocol. The message continued. "Recent actions by your species have raised significant concerns. These matters require immediate attention." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Miller's office in darkness. He didn't waste time. His hand moved to the communication panel on his desk. "Get me Defense Command. Priority channel." Within moments, General Thompson's hologram appeared. "I take it you received it too, James." "Yes, they're not even trying to hide their hostility this time." Miller rubbed his chin, a habit from his younger days. "Have you noticed any unusual movement in the outer system?" The general's image flickered as he pulled up additional data. "Actually, yes. 3 council ships entered the Kuiper Belt last week. They're claiming routine patrol routes, but their positioning is interesting. Surrounding us, most likely," Miller said. He stood up and walked to his office window, looking out at the gleaming towers of New Washington. The city had been rebuilt after the last war, now standing as a symbol of humanity's resilience. "They're planning something big, Mary." General Thompson nodded. "Should we begin quiet mobilization?" "Not yet. Too obvious, but put our orbital platforms on silent alert. And Mary, let's wake up Project Guardian, just in case." The general's eyebrows rose slightly. "You think it's that serious?" "The Council never makes demands without having 10 backup plans. Remember the trade species incident 5 years ago? They're following the same pattern." After ending the call, Miller spent the next hour reviewing Earth's recent interactions with the Council. Nothing stood out as particularly provocative, except perhaps humanity's latest breakthrough in quantum computing. The Council had seemed unusually interested in that. His assistant, Robert, entered the office carrying several data tablets. "Sir, I've compiled our recent diplomatic exchanges with Council members. There's a pattern you should see." Miller took the tablets, scanning through the data. His eyes narrowed. "They've been gathering information about our development rates, comparing them to historical records of other species." "Yes, sir. And there's more." Robert brought up a chart. Every species that showed development rates similar to ours in the past. They all suddenly stopped advancing around this point in their timeline. All of them. Miller felt a chill run down his spine. The pieces were falling into place. This wasn't just about recent actions. This was about humanity's very nature, our rapid growth and adaptation. "Robert, prepare my ship, and get me everything we have on those species that stopped advancing. I want to know exactly what happened to them." As his assistant hurried out, Miller turned back to the window. The sun was rising now, casting long shadows across the city. Humanity had fought too hard, come too far, to be held back now. "You want to play games," he muttered to himself. "Let's show you how humans play." The next few hours would be crucial. Earth had 3 days to prepare for whatever the Council had planned. Miller intended to use every minute of it. The Council station hung in space like a giant silver snowflake, its crystalline arms stretching out for miles in every direction. Miller's diplomatic vessel approached slowly, giving him time to study the unusual amount of military ships gathered around the station. "I count 15 warships," Robert said, standing beside Miller at the observation window. "That's 3 times the normal security detail." Miller nodded, his face reflecting in the reinforced glass, and noticed their positioning. They're not just guarding the station, they're positioned for a quick jump to Earth. Their ship passed through several security checkpoints, each one more thorough than usual. Miller used this time to observe the other diplomatic vessels docked at the station. Representatives from almost every major species were present. The ancient elders with their crystalline ships, the warrior race's heavy battle cruisers, and the sleek vessels of the merchant species. "They've called everyone to watch," Miller muttered. "This isn't a negotiation. It's a show." As they docked, Robert's tablet beeped quietly. "Sir, I've managed to intercept some internal communications. They're encrypted, but—" He paused, frowning at his screen. "The energy usage in the station's secure meeting chambers is off the charts. They've been in session for days before calling us." "Planning their moves carefully," Miller said, straightening his uniform. "Keep monitoring those communications. I want to know what they're saying when they think we can't hear." The docking procedure completed with a soft thud. A delegation of Council security officers waited in the airlock. 4 of them, instead of the usual 2. Their scaled armor gleamed under the bright station lights. "Ambassador Miller," the lead officer said, "please follow us. The Council is waiting." As they walked through the station's massive corridors, Miller noticed subtle changes. Security doors that were usually open stood closed. Armed guards stood at every intersection. The few diplomatic staff they passed hurried away quickly, avoiding eye contact. "Robert," Miller whispered as they walked, "what's the status of Project Guardian?" "Online and ready, sir. General Thompson confirms all systems are green." They reached the Council chamber's outer doors, massive structures made of age-darkened metal from a long-dead star. Before they could enter, a familiar figure stepped out of the shadows. "Ambassador Miller," the elder Council member Grant said softly. His gray skin seemed paler than usual. "A moment, please." The security team started to object, but Grant waved them away with the authority only an elder could command. Once they were alone in the side corridor, Grant spoke quickly and quietly. "They're afraid, James. I've never seen the Council like this. Your species," he glanced around nervously, "you've done something no other race has managed. You've grown too fast, learned too quickly. They think you're dangerous." Miller kept his face neutral. "And what do you think, Grant?" "I think they're right to be afraid. But I think their solution will only make things worse." Grant pulled out a small data crystal. "This contains their plans, all of them, including the military positions around your solar system." Miller took the crystal, hiding it smoothly in his sleeve. "Why help us?" "Because in 30 years, humans have shown more innovation and adaptability than my species has in 1,000. We've grown stagnant, James. All the old races have. Maybe." Grant straightened up as footsteps approached. "Maybe it's time for a change." The security team reappeared, looking suspicious. Grant switched to a formal tone. "Remember protocol, Ambassador. The Council expects proper respect." Miller nodded, understanding the double meaning. As they finally entered the Council chamber, he took in the massive circular room. Hundreds of representatives sat in rising tiers, all focusing on him. The Council's 7 ruling members sat on their elevated platform, looking down at him like judges at a trial. "Welcome, Ambassador Miller," the head Council member said, voice echoing in the chamber. "We have much to discuss about Earth's concerning behavior." Miller stood straight, the data crystal heavy in his sleeve. He'd seen enough. This wasn't diplomacy, it was an ambush. But if the Council thought humans would be easy prey, they were about to learn a serious lesson about Earth's capacity for surprise. The head Council member's voice boomed through the massive chamber. "Ambassador Miller, We have evidence of serious violations by Earth against galactic trade agreements. A large hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed what appeared to be Earth ships attacking merchant vessels. Miller kept his face calm, though inside his mind raced. He recognized the ships immediately. They were fakes, good ones, but fakes nonetheless. These attacks, another council member said, have cost lives and valuable resources, but this is merely the beginning of our concerns. Miller stepped forward, his footsteps echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber. Interesting evidence, he said, his voice steady. Though I notice the identification codes on those ships are clearly visible. Convenient, isn't it? A murmur ran through the watching delegates. Miller continued, would the council like me to present the tracking data of every Earth ship for the past year? We keep very detailed records. That won't be necessary, the head council member said quickly, too quickly. We have more pressing matters to discuss, specifically the rate of Earth's technological advancement. Now we get to the real issue, Miller thought. Behind him, he heard Robert's tablet quietly beeping as it recorded everything. The chamber's main screen changed, showing a graph. Earth's technological progress was marked in red, shooting upward at a steep angle. Below it, in blue, was the average advancement rate of other species. The difference was striking. In just 30 years, an elder council member spoke, her voice trembling with what seemed like fear. Your species has achieved what took others centuries. This is not natural. This is not safe. Miller thought back to humanity's history. They hadn't told the council everything about Earth's past, about how constant conflict and competition had forced humans to adapt and innovate at incredible speeds, how necessity had bred invention, again and again. The council has a proposal, the head member announced. For the safety of all species, Earth's technological development must be placed under council oversight. All research, all advancement, must be approved by our committee. The chamber grew tenser as Miller remained silent. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They weren't used to silence in response to their demands. Additionally, another member added, we require access to all of Earth's research facilities. For inspection purposes, of course. Miller glanced at Robert, who nodded slightly. While the council had been talking, his assistant had been analyzing the data crystal from Grant. Everything was falling into place. Before I respond, Miller said, I'd like to share a story about Earth's history. He moved to the center of the chamber, where the hologram had been. There was a time when some human nations tried to prevent others from advancing. They claimed it was for safety, for peace. Do you know what happened? The council members stayed silent, but Miller could see he had everyone's attention. Those restricted nations advanced anyway. They did it in secret, often developing more dangerous technologies because they couldn't do it openly. The restrictions didn't create safety. They created danger. This is not a historical debate, the head council member interrupted. This is about galactic security. Miller smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. No, this is about fear. You fear what you don't understand, and nothing scares you more than humanity's ability to adapt and grow. He pulled out a small device, one that wasn't registered with council security. Gasps echoed through the chamber as a new hologram appeared, showing the council's secret military buildup around Earth. You talk about violations. Miller's voice grew harder. Let's discuss why the council has positioned a battle fleet around my homeworld without notification or permission. The council members began talking all at once, their carefully planned presentation falling apart. Miller stood firm in the center of the chaos he'd created, knowing this was just the beginning. The head council member raised his hands for silence. When he spoke again, his voice carried a threat. Ambassador Miller, consider your next words very carefully. The council's decision on this matter is final. Miller's response was ready. The time for passive diplomacy was over. Humanity had proven itself too strong to be caged, and he was about to make that very clear to the entire galactic community. While the council chambers erupted in chaos, Robert quietly slipped a message to Miller. The data from Grant's crystal had finished processing. Miller read it quickly, his worst fears confirmed. "Honored Council," Miller spoke, his voice cutting through the noise. "Let's stop pretending. This isn't about trade violations or technological oversight. Tell them the truth about the quarantine plan." The chamber went dead silent. The head council member's face turned a pale shade of blue, his species equivalent of going white with shock. "I don't know what you're talking about," the head council member said, but his voice wavered. Miller touched his device again. New holograms appeared, showing historical records that the council had tried to keep hidden. "Let me tell everyone about the Path species from 300 years ago, or the Bright Ones from 500 years ago, or the Wave Dancers from 800 years ago." The images showed civilizations that had once been as promising as humanity. Each had advanced quickly, shown great potential, and each had mysteriously stopped developing after council intervention. "Every time a species grows too fast," Miller continued, walking in a circle to address all the gathered delegates, "the council steps in. First come the accusations, then the threats, finally the protective quarantine, which somehow always ends with the species losing its drive to advance." An elder council member stood up, trembling. "You don't understand the dangers. Rapid advancement leads to chaos." "No," Miller countered. "It leads to change. And that's what really frightens you." Robert's tablet beeped again. This time, the message was from Earth. Miller read it and allowed himself a small smile. Everything was ready. "The Council claims to protect galactic peace," Miller said. "But what you really protect is your own power. You've been secretly suppressing any species that might challenge your authority." He brought up more images, the massive warships surrounding Earth, the secret facilities where the Council developed weapons they denied having, the hidden prisons where dangerous innovators from various species were kept. "Ambassador Miller," the head council member's voice turned cold. "This information is classified. Possessing it is a serious crime. Add it to your list of accusations," Miller replied calmly. "But first, explain to everyone here why you've been building up military forces around Earth while pretending to engage in diplomacy." The chamber erupted again, but this time with delegates demanding answers from the council. Many had suspected such things but never had proof before. "Earth has advanced too quickly," one of the council members shouted over the noise. "The natural order must be preserved." "Natural order?" Miller laughed. "There's nothing natural about forcing species to stay weak and dependent. That's not order, it's control." The head council member stood, his patience clearly gone. "Enough. Security, remove the Earth delegation." But before the guards could move, Robert spoke up for the first time. "Sir, you might want to see this." He projected a new image, live feeds from Earth's solar system. The Council's hidden fleet was still there, but now they were surrounded by previously invisible Earth ships, ships that used technology the Council didn't know humans possessed. "While you were watching our official research," Miller said quietly, "we were learning, adapting, preparing, just like we've always done." The council members stared at the images in shock. Their secret fleet, meant to enforce the quarantine, was itself quarantined. "This session isn't about Earth's violations," Miller declared. "It's about the Council's crimes against every species that showed potential. And now, you have a choice." He walked to the center of the chamber once more. "You can try to force us into submission, like you did to the others. But I should warn you, humans don't respond well to threats." Or, Miller let the word hang in the air. The council members looked at each other nervously, realizing their carefully laid plans were falling apart. "Or what?" the head council member finally asked. Miller smiled. "The next few minutes would change the galaxy forever. Or we can discuss a new way forward. One where advancement isn't feared, but celebrated. Your choice, honored council. But choose carefully. Humanity's patience has limits." The head council member's voice shook with barely controlled rage. Ambassador Miller, you will cease this disruption and submit to the Council's authority. Earth must accept our oversight for the greater good of the galaxy." Miller stood in the center of the chamber, calm despite the tension filling the room. The faces of hundreds of alien delegates watched from the towering seats around him. Some showed fear, others interest, and a few, particularly from younger species, showed clear admiration. "Submit." Miller let the word hang in the air. "Let me share one last piece of Earth's history with you. Throughout our past, whenever someone demanded submission from us, it usually ended badly. For them." He pressed a button on his device, and new holograms filled the chamber. They showed Earth's rapid rise from a planetary civilization to a spacefaring one. But these weren't the sanitized versions the Council had seen before. "You see our advancement and call it unnatural," Miller continued. "But you never asked why we advanced so quickly. You never asked what drove us." The images showed Earth's countless wars, disasters, and challenges, but more importantly, they showed how humans overcame each one. "Every crisis made us stronger," Miller declared. "Every challenge forced us to innovate. We didn't advance quickly because it was easy. We advanced because we had to." "This is irrelevant," another council member interrupted. "The decision has been made. Earth will submit to oversight, or what?" Miller's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "You'll use your hidden fleet, the one currently surrounded by our ships." He turned to address all the delegates. "The Council speaks of peace while building weapons in secret. They preach stability while suppressing advancement. They demand trust while planning to quarantine Earth." Robert's tablet displayed a message from Earth Command. Miller nodded slightly. Everything was in position. Therefore, Miller's voice grew stronger, filling every corner of the vast chamber. "On behalf of humanity and Earth, I formally reject these negotiations." Gasps echoed through the chamber. In the Council's 10,000-year history, no species had ever dared to reject their authority so openly. You cannot reject the Council," the head member sputtered. "It's not possible." "We just did," Miller replied simply. "But more than that, we reject your entire system of control. Earth will not be caged. We will not be held back. And we will not stand by while you suppress other species' potential." He touched his device one final time. The holograms changed to show Earth's true fleet, not just the ships around the Council's forces, but hundreds more, using technology that the Council's sensors couldn't detect. "Humanity doesn't want war," Miller continued. "But if you force this confrontation, you should know that we've spent these 30 years preparing for exactly this moment. Every time you watched us, we were watching back. Every time you tested us, we were testing you." The council members huddled together, speaking in harsh whispers. Finally, the head member spoke again, his voice noticeably less confident. "If Earth rejects council authority, you will face severe consequences. No trade, no diplomatic relations. No, you don't understand," Miller interrupted. "We're not asking for permission. We're not negotiating. We're informing you of reality." He walked closer to the council's platform. "Earth rejects these proceedings entirely, and we invite any other species tired of being held back to join us in forming a new association, one based on mutual growth, not control." Several delegates stood up, then more and more. The council members watched in horror as their authority crumbled in front of them. "This is unprecedented," the head council member shouted. This is change," Miller finished for him. "The very thing you fought so hard to prevent. But change isn't your enemy. Fear is. And humanity. We conquered our fears long ago." He turned to leave the chamber, then paused. "Oh, and one more thing. Those ships you sent to quarantine Earth, they're welcome to try leaving their current position. But I wouldn't recommend it. Humanity's hospitality has limits, just like our patience." The chamber erupted into chaos as Miller and Robert walked out, leaving behind a council facing its greatest crisis in 10 millennia. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity had just struck the first blow for freedom. The council chamber doors closed behind Miller and Robert, but the shouting from inside still echoed through the station's corridors. Security forces lined the hallways, their weapons ready but their expressions uncertain. No one had ever seen the council challenged like this before. "Sir," Robert said quietly, checking his tablet, "Earth Command reports multiple council ships are powering up their weapons." Miller nodded calmly. "Right on schedule. Have they noticed our new defense grid yet?" "No, sir. The quantum camouflage is holding. They still think they're just dealing with our visible fleet." They reached the station's main observation deck. Through the massive windows, they could see the Council's warships moving into attack positions. Their heavy weapons gleamed under the light of distant stars. "Incoming transmission from the Council," Robert announced. "They're demanding we return to the chamber immediately or face military response." Miller smiled. "Put it on screen. Let's see how they handle the next surprise." The head council member's face appeared on the deck's main display, his features twisted with anger. "Ambassador Miller, this defiance cannot stand. Return now, or we will be forced to." "To what?" Miller interrupted. "To show everyone that you solve problems with weapons, not words. Go ahead. Fire on our ships. Show the galaxy what you really are." The council member's face darkened. "You leave us no choice. We cannot allow." Suddenly, new alarms blared throughout the station. The council's warships had opened fire on Earth's visible fleet, but instead of explosions, their weapons simply disappeared. "Impossible." The council member gasped. "Not impossible," Miller replied. "Just new technology. The kind you tried to prevent species from developing." He turned to Robert. "Show them the rest." Robert pressed a few buttons on his tablet. Around the station, hundreds of previously invisible defense platforms shimmered into view. Each one was more advanced than anything the Council had in their arsenal. "While you were watching our official research," Miller explained, "while you were counting our ships and monitoring our communications, we were building, learning, preparing. Those weapons you just fired, they didn't disappear. They were redirected into pocket dimensions. Technology you said was impossible." The council member's face had lost all color. "How, when did you?" "The moment we joined the galactic community, we knew this day would come," Miller said. "Humans have a long history of dealing with empires that fear change. We recognized the signs immediately." More council ships arrived, but they found themselves caught in containment fields they couldn't detect, let alone break free from. Earth's defense systems had turned their mighty fleet into floating decorations. "Now," Miller continued, "let's discuss the real issue. Not your false accusations, not your attempts at control. Let's talk about the future, a future where species are free to advance, to grow, to reach their full potential." The observation deck's doors opened, and several delegates from other species entered. They were representatives from younger civilizations, ones that had also felt the Council's suppression. "Ambassador Miller," one of them spoke, "our governments have reviewed your proposal for a new alliance. We accept." The Council member's face showed pure shock. "You cannot. This is forbidden." "Not anymore," Miller replied. "The age of suppression is over. You can either adapt to the new reality, or you can watch as the galaxy moves forward without you." He turned to the gathered delegates. "Humanity doesn't want to rule. We don't want to control. We want to explore, to learn, to grow, and to help others do the same. That's the difference between us and the Council." Robert's tablet beeped again. "Sir, Earth Command reports that all Council ships near our solar system have been contained. No casualties on either side." Miller nodded. This was why humans were different. Even in victory, they chose to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. "Your move, Council," Miller said to the screen. "You can join us in building something new, or you can cling to your old ways and watch your power fade. But remember, humanity didn't start this confrontation. We're just finishing it." The Council member's image disappeared, leaving Miller and the gathered delegates looking out at the stars. The galaxy was changing, and there was no going back. The age of suppression was over. The age of advancement had begun. 3 days after Miller's historic rejection, the council station buzzed with unprecedented activity. The massive chamber that had once hosted only council proceedings now held representatives from 50 species, all gathered to sign the new Galactic Alliance Charter. Miller stood at the observation window of his temporary office, watching ships from various species coming and going freely, something the council had never allowed before. Robert entered, carrying the final draft of the charter on his tablet. "The council finally responded, sir," Robert said. "They've agreed to join the alliance, but as equal members, not rulers. Their exact words were adaptation is preferable to extinction." Miller smiled. "Looks like they learned something from humanity after all." The door chimed, and Elder Grant entered. He looked tired but pleased. "Ambassador Miller, the other former council members are ready to begin the transition. Though I must admit, we're still stunned by how thoroughly you outmaneuvered us." "It wasn't just me," Miller replied. "Earth's strategy was 30 years in the making. From the day we first met your species, we recognized the signs of a controlling empire. So we showed you what you expected to see, a rapidly advancing but seemingly transparent civilization." Grant nodded thoughtfully. "While hiding your true capabilities in plain sight. Brilliant. But tell me, how did humans advance so quickly, even before meeting us?" Miller turned from the window. "Because we never stopped competing with ourselves. Every nation, every group pushed the others to do better. Our conflicts, though sometimes tragic, drove us forward. We learned that true stability doesn't come from control. It comes from growth." Robert's tablet beeped. "Sir, the first data sharing sessions are beginning. The wave dancers have already started recovering their lost technology, and 3 other suppressed species are showing signs of rapid advancement. And that's why the council really feared us," Miller said. "Not because of our technology, but because we believe in helping others advance. Speaking of which, Grant, is everything ready for the announcement?" The elder nodded. "Yes, though some still think it's too soon." Miller led them out of the office and toward the chamber. "Holding back progress is what got us here in the first place. No more delays." They entered the chamber, now rearranged with all seats on the same level. No more elevated platform for rulers. Representatives from dozens of species filled the room, their excited conversations creating a low hum. Miller took the central podium. The chamber quickly fell silent. 3 days ago, he began, we rejected a system that feared progress. Today, we create something new. The Galactic Alliance isn't just about sharing technology or resources. It's about sharing knowledge, culture, and dreams. He activated the chamber's holographic system, displaying Earth's latest gift to the galaxy, plans for faster-than-light travel far beyond current capabilities. "This is just the beginning," Miller continued. "Earth pledges to share all our advancements, and we invite every species to do the same. No more secrets, no more suppression. Together, we'll reach heights the Council never dreamed possible." The chamber erupted in applause. Even former Council members joined in, finally free from the burden of maintaining control. Later, back in his office, Miller found a message from Earth Command. Project Guardian successfully shared with all Alliance members. Quantum shield network expanding. The galaxy is entering a new age. Robert entered with one final report. "Sir, the last Council warships have stood down, and 17 previously suppressed species have already shown significant technological revival. It's like they were just waiting for permission to grow again." Miller looked out at the stars once more. Humanity had done more than reject negotiations. They had broken chains that had held the galaxy back for millennia. Species that had been forced into stagnation were advancing again. The age of fear was over. "You know, Robert," Miller said quietly, "some in the Council thought they were protecting the galaxy from chaos. But they forgot something fundamental about progress." "What's that, sir?" The universe itself is chaos and change. Fighting that isn't wisdom, it's entropy. And humanity. We've always been agents of change. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if celebrating with them. The galaxy was finally free to evolve, to grow, to reach for impossible dreams. And it all started because humanity dared to say no to those who would hold them back. The future was uncertain, but that was exactly how humanity liked it. After all, uncertainty meant possibility, and humans had always been very good at turning possibilities into reality.